Hello, folks. How are you? Oh, just trying to set this up so it's straight. That's pretty straight. How are you doing today, everybody? Welcome. Welcome back. If you are here watching, let me know where you're watching from. Where are you today? All right. Very good. I'm just going to hold in a minute here so that folks can find us. And I'll get started in just a minute. See how my temperature is in here. I think I'm going to need some air. Okay. Get a little bit of air in here. All right. If you're here watching, let me know where you're watching from. Today I'm going to be talking about how to get out of pain. Hi, Perry. I know where you're watching from. You're in Texas. Today I'm going to be talking about how yoga can help you get out of pain. And I hesitated just a little bit. You know what? There's a weird shadow here. Let me see if I can fix this. Give me just a second. Okay, I think that's better. I hesitated a little bit when I was writing the subject for today's live stream because I'm really not a fan of what I call get-rich-quick schemes. Like, here, just do the simple thing and all your problems will be solved. It's definitely not like that. Especially with yoga. Yoga can certainly help you get out of pain, but it takes some time, it takes some work. And so I'll be talking through all of that today. If you have any questions, specific questions that you'd like me to answer about pain and yoga, please go ahead and start adding them in the chat, and I will definitely get to them as we proceed through our discussion here today. All right, good. I see a couple more people joining. If you would, let me know where you are. Where are you joining from today? Today, I am in Camp Verde. I'm going to say it in Spanish, Camp Verde, or the way it's called here, Camp Verde, Arizona. I am in my camper. This is a curtain behind me that hides, can you see back there? It's the ramp or the patio of the garage of our camper. And so anyway, I'm here in my camper with my family in Arizona. We're taking a bit of a road trip over, several weeks. I don't yet know when we're going home. But anyway, I'm over here in Arizona today in Pacific time. And I'm excited to be with you. I'm really happy about working with y'all folks. My Texas came out, working with y'all via YouTube because I can do this from wherever I am. So that's really cool. My kids are in the other room doing school. My husband's in the other room working, and I can be here talking to y'all. All right, Carlos is here. Hello. Amy is here in Maine. Okay, cool. I don't think I knew where you're from, Amy. And Anne is here from Illinois, near Chicago. Cool. Okay, Perry says, at 71, I'm always sore somewhere, upper hamstrings almost all of the time. Okay, we'll definitely get to that. All right, good. Okay, and for y'all who are just joining, if you have any specific questions about pain that you'd like me to talk about, please type them into the chat and I'll definitely address them as we move through the discussion today. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. I'll have some water before starting. Practice ahimsa, right? Make sure that my body is comfortable before I launch into this. Okay, so I have a couple of notes here just to kind of keep me on track because, as you know, yoga is a very broad topic, and if I don't have a little bit of direction, I will go on and keep you here for an hour. And I'm hoping to just keep you for about half an hour, unless we've got lots of questions, and then I can hang out longer. Okay, so where I wanted to start was a bit of a ponder for you to take a minute to reflect about why you became interested in yoga when you began practicing yoga, or maybe you are thinking about starting to practice yoga, but you haven't actually started yet. What motivated you to get there, to that place where you felt that desire, that draw to start investigating yoga and getting into your yoga practice? If you have an answer, I'd be happy to hear it in the chat. I'll tell you that most people And we may not realize this right off the bat, but after some pondering and some reflection, you'll realize that you and most people probably started practicing yoga because you wanted to affect some kind of change in your life. Usually people don't practice yoga, like as a social activity or, to meet friends or anything like that. It's usually that we pursue yoga because there's something going on in our life that we feel needs to change. It might be because we're actually in physical pain and we would like to get rid of the physical pain. It might be because, and there's all kinds of physical pain. It may be, like Perry said, tightness in the hamstrings. It may be that your hip hurts or your back hurts. The back hurting is a very common reason that people start to look into yoga. Could be your neck hurts. Could be that you have a headache. It could be also a different kind of pain. It may not be, like my feet are hurting. It may be I'm having trouble sleeping at night, and I heard that yoga is good for relaxation, and so I'm going to try out yoga. Sleep problems may be one type of, quote unquote pain that brought you to the yoga practice. It could be that you're having pain due to difficult relationships with people, like, maybe you're having, some kind of a stressful relationship with someone and it's stressing you out. And that too is a form of pain. And so you come to yoga practice to relax. Maybe on some level you're aware that yoga can help you to relax and see more clearly and be able to improve relationships. So all different kinds of pain, all different kinds of, some catalyst, something that is a catalyst that's making you look into yoga so that you can change something, you can resolve some type of issue. Okay, I have a couple of comments coming here in the chat. Let me see. Asthma brought me to yoga. Yeah. Breathing troubles can help, can be an inspiration for people to try out yoga. The breathing aspect of yoga really helps strengthen my lungs. Excellent. Perry says, I needed to become more flexible. Yeah, so if we're not flexible, that too can be a source of pain. It might be a physical pain like my hamstrings are not flexible and it's making my back hurt. Or it may be a different sort of pain like my hamstrings aren't flexible and I'm not able to get down on the floor and play with my dog. That also is a kind of pain. You're getting flexible, but you need more. The breathing became almost secondary, but now is fighting for first place. Yeah, that's a really good observation. Okay, good. Okay, so yes, so generally we start to practice yoga, or we develop an interest in yoga because there's some change that we're hoping to affect in our lives. Okay, so let me get to my next note here. Generally, when we want to create some kind of change in our life with the yoga practice, we need to start practicing yoga, clearly. People often have questions about, how often should I practice? How long should I practice? That kind of stuff. Okay, here's where I'm going to kind of start diverging into some different topics. There are definitely different types of yoga practice. Generally, I would say it's very important for every person to find the right kind of practice for them. So, and if you've been watching my channel for a while, you've heard me talk about some of these things before, but if you are a person who, is really busy, maybe you only have time for 10 or 15 minutes of yoga practice each day. If you're a person who has a different kind of schedule, like for example, people who work in hospitals, like medical, like healthcare professionals, sometimes work like 4 days on and 3 days off. So on those 4 days on when you're working, you may not have any time to do your yoga practice. Maybe it's the other 3 days when you have time, and maybe you can do an hour of yoga practice for each of those 3 days. So just depending on what your schedule looks like, you can start to figure out, how best to schedule your yoga practice. Also, you have to find the right kind of yoga practice. Some people, okay, so like Amy was mentioning about asthma. Amy will want to do a certain kind of yoga practice to help with breathing. Perry will want to do probably a different type of yoga practice to help with his flexibility in his legs. So, it's important for you to find the right kind of practice. Many of you found my channel because of the Yoga for Bigger Bodies videos. And if you have a bigger body, you also need to find the right kind of yoga practice, because not all teachers, are prepared to teach people with bigger bodies. So just depending on all the factors in your life, you need to find the right kind of yoga practice for you. Okay, yeah. I'm just reading one more comment in the chat here that says that yoga also has helped with stress and anxiety, and that's absolutely true. And one comment that I often receive, in the comments under the videos, is that people started practicing yoga because they wanted to work on their flexibility, and they were really surprised to find out how much yoga helped their depression or anxiety or mood or stress or some other more subtle thing that isn't what they showed up for, but it was kind of a side benefit. And that always, I think, is a very nice surprise for that person. It's not a surprise for me because I know that happens all the time. Okay, so you have to find your right kind of yoga practice. Some other factors to consider when you're finding your yoga practice is, what days can I practice? How long can I practice? What type of yoga practice am I going to do? I felt like there was one other little aspect there. Oh, yeah. Is it what works best for me? Does it, I'm getting too many ideas at once. Do I do best with a YouTube video? Do I do best in a class? Do I do best with private instruction? There's all different kinds of options available for how to do your yoga practice. And if you have any questions about that, please also post them here in the chat, and I may end up doing, if you want to talk about that, I can do a video on a different day to get into more detail about that. So anyway, when we have pain, something, let me just pause here. This is so typical of me. I have too many things to tell you. Good thing I have a little bit of a plan here. But what I was going to say is in yoga, in Sanskrit, the language Sanskrit, there's a term called dukkha. And you'll find this word throughout the yogic texts, all the ones that are written in Sanskrit. Dukkha translates as pain. And so dukkha encompasses all these different types of pain that I'm talking to you about: physical pain, or pain due to your mood, or pain due to any kind of factor, something it's troublesome in your life. And so the yoga practice can help to remove the dukkha and create sukha. Sukha is comfort. Okay, let me see what's going on here in the chat. Hello, Chris from the UK. Multiple health problems. Okay, ankylosing spondylitis. Yeah, I've got a bad curve at the top of the spine and the bottom, and I can't lie flat. Yes, okay, gotcha. To get on the floor, please, if possible, help. Yes, not able to get to the, yes. Okay, yes, I'll definitely talk about this. Let me just make a note so I can remember. Welcome, Chris. Okay. Where was I? Okay, so all the different types of yoga practice. So yeah, so where were we? We were talking about, oh yeah, dukkha, pain. Start somewhere. Start somewhere with your yoga practice. Clearly all of you are here on my channel, and so you have access to all of my videos. I've been recently trying to do a better job of creating playlists so that you can more easily find the kind of practice that is appropriate for you. I've created a playlist of short practices, everything that's 20 minutes and less. I've created a playlist of long practices. I've created a playlist for people who prefer not to kneel, like it's uncomfortable to kneel. Of course, all the bigger bodies videos are in a playlist, so go to the playlist tab on my channel, and that hopefully will help you more easily find the kind of practice that you're looking for. But the main thing is to just start. Just start somewhere. Start small if that feels most accessible to you. Just get started. Once you get started, so yoga is a very, it's a practice that you learn and figure out by experience. You could watch all the videos and just watch them and not actually do them, and you'll learn a little bit. But when you start to actually do them, you start to learn more about yourself, how your body works, how your mind works, what's difficult, what's easy, what your body likes and what your body doesn't like. And so please just go ahead and begin. Find a video and start. And then once you start figuring out what your body likes and doesn't like, you can start kind of refining what kind of video you want to do, or you can ask me questions and I can help. guide you about your next steps. Yeah, so just go ahead and start. One thing that I would like to mention is that, and you probably know this already, most of the videos, almost all of the videos on my channel are accessible for people with most kind of bodies. I offer lots of options and modifications. I frequently encourage you to go at your pace and your level of intensity so that the practice is comfortable and not causing pain. And I also encourage you to take breaks. If something doesn't feel right, just stop. And so please hear that guidance. I know I hear also very frequently when I talk to people who practice with my videos and people who are in my classes as well, that we're so conditioned to do the maximum. So, this no pain, no gain mentality. So please, think about this frequently. And the more you think about it and the more you hear me talk about it or you talk about it to other people, the more you'll start to internalize that you don't have to do the maximum of everything. The yoga practice doesn't have to hurt in order to be beneficial. So just kind of take it at your pace, at your level of intensity. Take breaks when you need to, but just start doing some yoga practice. And then when you start figuring out what you like and what you don't like, you can start refining which videos you're picking, or you can ask me questions. Okay. Okay, so just start. Yeah, that was my next message. Let's see what I'm going to talk to you about next. Okay, so the next thing that I'd like to talk to you all about, and please, if you have specific questions about pain, add them here in the chat, and I will definitely get to them in a little bit. Kind of want to get through all of this kind of theoretical discussion first, which I think is it's valuable. It's good for kind of establishing your mindset so that you can enter the yoga practice in the right way and have a good first impression of yoga so that you can continue with it. So I talked about finding the right kind of yoga practice. Okay, let me see how to transition into this. So when we talk about yoga, generally, when people think of yoga, they're thinking about the physical yoga postures. They'll have images in their head of doing a forward fold or doing a downward facing dog or something like that. That's the mental image that pops up when you think about yoga. As far as the physical yoga practice goes, and just by the way, that's called asana practice. Asana is the postures. The physical practice should be appropriate for you. So once you start kind of refining what kind of practice is appropriate for you, you can start to to figure out, like, for example, I have back pain, so I need to do this certain kind of yoga practices to help with my back pain, or I have knee pain and I need these certain kind of asana practices. And so there will be, depending on your unique body, there will be practices that are beneficial, practices that are like not that useful for you, and then practices that are actually harmful for you. So you've got to find the right kind of asana practice, and I'm happy to help you figure that out. The next component of yoga practice is breathing practice. And this is, the breathing is not something that's as well known as the physical postures. I was having a discussion in my Patreon group. So I have a group of, it's kind of hosted inside of Patreon, but it's people who, have kind of gotten a little bit deeper into their practice, and they're having more like deeper level questions. And I'll tell you more about the Patreon in a little while in case that's something that you want to do. But we were having this discussion in Patreon yesterday about breathing. And, we were talking about how certain breathing practices are appropriate and beneficial for certain people, but the same breathing practice can actually be harmful for other people. So what I teach in my YouTube videos is kind of general yoga practices that are safe for almost everybody. But if you have some specific stuff going on, I could also help you with more specific breathing practices for whatever you have going on in your life. For example, if you have a problem of not being able to sleep well, then we need to, consider certain kind of breathing practices. If you have asthma and you have, trouble with your breathing, there's other kind of breathing practices that we should do. So the breathing practices that you see in my videos, like sometimes at the beginning or in the middle or in the end of the video yoga practice, Those are fine for almost everybody. Like that's not going to hurt anybody. But if you want something more specific and specialized, let me know, and I can definitely help you with that. And then the other aspect to yoga and getting out of pain, which is the topic that we're talking about today, is to have other healthy habits in your life, like making sure that you're sleeping well, making sure that you're eating a healthy diet, making sure that you're drinking enough water, that you're keeping company with the right kind of people, like all the things that affect our health as humans. And actually, this is probably going beyond what most people know that I do, but I have been working as a yoga therapist for many years, and I'm actually taking a formal training in yoga therapy right now with my school in India, the school where I study. And yoga therapy is a whole other thing that most people don't know exists. But in yoga therapy, we look at, the whole person and all the things going on and figuring out, a very customized yoga practice for the person, customized breathing, and customized like health improvement tips to help the person reach their goals. But generally, everybody can work on these things. Like we all know that we need to get good sleep, and you can probably figure out some strategies to improve your sleep. You probably have some ideas about, how to eat healthy, and you can make adjustments. But if you have some chronic or big problems going on and you want some help with that, that's also something that I can help you with. Obviously not via a YouTube video. That's one-on-one work. So you can contact me if you're interested in something like that. All right. Let me see where we're going in the notes. Okay. Oh, one thing that I did want to mention about pain and healthy habits. So very often when we have pain, it's due to inflammation somewhere in the body. And so I'll give you kind of a little bit of an example about, yoga therapy and the kind of advice that I give when someone has pain and when it's due to inflammation. So there's certain, you probably have heard me talk about the nervous system and how the inhale part of the breath is associated with fight or flight, and the exhale part of the breath is associated with relaxation. Well, when our nervous system is mostly relaxed, we have less inflammation in the body. When we're too much in the fight or flight part, like we're under a lot of stress all the time, the stress hormones cause more inflammation in the body. So, we want to work on trying to be as calm as possible. We want to do some relaxation practices, some breathing practices, but also we can make some changes in our diet. So we want to make sure that we're well hydrated to try to reduce inflammation. And we want to be careful about the foods we eat. For example, spicy foods can tend to heat up the body and cause more inflammation. So if you're a person who likes a lot of spicy foods, you can try to reduce that a little bit. Some other foods that cause heat in the body and can possibly increase inflammation are coffee. So if you like to drink a lot of coffee, you can reduce that a little bit. And there's many foods like this. I'll just mention one more. If you like to eat a lot of fried foods and you need to reduce your inflammation, you might try reducing or eliminating fried foods from your diet. And all of this, please practice ahimsa. So if you want to make some changes in order to, for example, reduce inflammation in your body, please don't decide, okay, right now I'm quitting coffee cold turkey and I'm not going to drink coffee anymore. Please don't be extreme like that, because you probably will get a bad headache from quitting coffee outright like that. So just do it gradually, or maybe just pick one small change to make and see how it goes. Try out your one small change for 5 days or a week and notice if your body feels better. And if it does, that may be a good indication that you should continue making that change, or that you can add another change on top of that. Okay, that's about healthy habits. Okay, let me now, let me see where to go next. Okay, so now let me start addressing some of your questions that you're posting in the chat. So Perry asked a little bit ago about the upper hamstrings, and I think, okay, hold on, let me scroll a minute. Okay, somehow I've lost the comment that I'm looking for. Okay, anyway, I remember that it was about the hamstrings. So hamstrings are the muscles in the back of your thighs, And these, are one of the muscles that tend to get tight for a lot of people, especially if, like, it could be that your hamstrings are just tight, but maybe especially if you're a person who spends a lot of time sitting, because, like, if these are my legs, when we're sitting, if this is the thigh and this is the lower leg, this shortens a bit while we're sitting, and so, like, the muscles shorten. So if we spend a lot of time sitting and not extending the legs out, this can get shorter, and then when you get up, when you stand up, it will feel tighter. So what we can do about hamstrings, excuse me, I like to take kind of a two-step approach when we're trying to stretch out hamstrings. The first one is that we want the muscles to be warm. So working on, sorry, can you hear that? It's one of the campers here. It sounds like they have a train horn. Anyway, warming up the muscles by doing things like standing postures, of course, balancing postures where you're standing on one leg. And just generally trying to activate and strengthen the muscles in your legs, like warrior would be good for that. Any kind of posture that activates the muscles in your legs. So make them warm. And then once they're warm, you can start to work on stretching them out with something like forward folds or Parshvottanasana. That's the forward fold where one leg is forward and one leg is back. That one is quite strong, so I would do that kind of toward the latter part of your practice. Wide-legged forward fold. You can also do sitting postures that help to stretch out your legs. So for people who have very tight legs, one thing that I like to recommend is sitting on a chair and then having a second chair in front of you to set your foot on. You probably have seen this in a video. And this is a gentler way to work on stretching out your legs for people who are really tight. So one leg will be extended forward, your foot is resting on a chair, and then your other foot can just be down on the floor like normal. And sitting upright by itself may give you already some challenge and some stretching in the back of the leg. But if you are comfortable and you can go a little bit further into stretching, you can lean forward a little bit and you stretch out one leg at a time. Stretching out one leg at a time is always going to be easier than stretching out both legs at once. So, if you're a person like Perry who has chronic tight hamstrings, you may add a little bit of extra hamstring-related work to your routine, your yoga practice. Maybe you do the getting out of bed in the morning video, and then you do a little bit of work specifically for your hamstrings, and then you're done. You've done your yoga practice for the day, and you can, just do it again the next day. All right, let's see what else we've got. Okay, so Chris was asking about getting down onto the floor. Yeah, this is a very common problem. What day is today? It's the 23rd. Somewhere toward the end of this month, I have my video about, this month during April, I'm focusing on yoga for bigger bodies on my YouTube channel. I'm posting a new short video every day, and we're also posting on our Facebook and Instagram. So you can go to any of those places to see these videos. But later this month, I have a video specifically about how to get down on the floor and back up, because so many people, it's such a common challenge that people have, and I thought that it would be beneficial to make a video about it so that you know in detail how to do it. But let me go back and find Chris's comment to make sure that I'm answering this in the right way. Okay, yeah, so you have spine issues. Yeah, so for you, Chris, what would be best is we have to find the right kind of yoga practice for you. And it may be, it could be a good idea if you want to send me a note and we can have a one-on-one call together so that I can understand a little bit more of your, the state of your health. You said you have multiple health issues, and then I could give you a little bit more specific guidance. But let me just give you some information now. And then if you want to, you can follow up with me and we can have a little bit of a longer conversation. Okay, so if you're a person who has issues in your back, pain in your back, and also you have trouble getting down onto the floor and back up, it may be a good idea not to get down onto the floor at all. So maybe you use my video and see if that information is helpful for you in terms of being able to get down and back up. maybe you watch the video and you say, okay, that's nice, but that I don't think that's going to work for me. In that case, we should not do any lying down for right now. Or maybe you can do your lying down on your bed. But yoga is so, like the practice of yoga and the asanas, there's so many asanas available that we can definitely find other things that will work well for you. We can do standing postures and we can do sitting postures, and we don't necessarily have to get to lying down. Yeah, and so generally when we have issues in the back, let me just double check and read here. Okay, curve in the spine. I don't know if this is like scoliosis or if this is like lordosis, but you can tell me more about that, hopefully, if we have a phone call together. But generally, if we have stuff going on with the spine, it's almost always beneficial to work on strengthening. And there's, of course, different ways that we can work on strengthening the muscles in the back, depending on what you've got going on, so that it's comfortable and creates benefit but doesn't cause pain. When we strengthen the muscles in the back, what happens is that your muscles support the structure of your body better, so that there's less pressure on your actual spine, your vertebrae. So in, like, say you're doing, for example, triangle pose. I've been using this example lately, and you want to work on strengthening in the muscles in your back. Just mentally put some focus on activating your back muscles, so that when you're doing this work, you're not only getting the benefit of stretching the sides of your body, but also you're getting the benefit of strengthening the muscles that go down on either side of your spine. That will be very beneficial for you. And I'd be more than happy to talk with you, Chris. So please email me. You can always reach me at info@rryogaroom.com. And I can provide some more specific guidance for you to help you practice yoga, in the way that is appropriate and beneficial for you. Okay, let me see what else is going here. Lisa's here. Hi, Lisa. Okay. Yeah, Perry's reiterating about how no pain, no gain is so kind of ingrained in us. And I feel like I should talk about this in every single video, because it really, it's so ingrained in our minds that, we can't help it. We always, almost always try to do more than is actually appropriate for us. So I'm going to keep talking about it so that I can try to normalize for everybody that we don't have to do so much that it's painful. Okay. Gwen is here. Hello, Gwen. You're most welcome. Please do let me know if you have any specific questions that you'd like me to address. I like the practice of humming. What are the benefits of humming? Yeah, that's a great question. So Lisa, I might put this back on you and ask you to go do a little bit of experimenting and see what, this one is really subtle. It'll be hard to find the answer, but probably most of you have seen once or twice that I've taught normal inhale and then hum on the exhale. And Lisa's asking about what are the benefits of that. There's lots of benefits. I'm going to just give you one, and then you can go off and experiment and come back and tell me if you, not right now this minute, but in a week or two, come back and tell me what you found out about the benefits of humming. One benefit is that when we hum, so just to be clear, what I'm talking about is this kind of exhale. When we hum, the way this hum sound happens is that there's a vibration happening in the throat. And when we have this tiny vibration happening here, it's vibrating in this region of the body, right? And the close by regions are like your chest and like your jaws. So when we're vibrating like this, it kind of has like a massage effect. And so it helps to release or reduce tension in your neck and in your shoulders and in your jaws. So there's one benefit of humming. And then I'll leave it to you to go practice and then come back to me and let me know what else you figure out about humming. There's lots of benefits to it. It's a great practice. Okay. Are lunges harmful for hip bursitis? Possibly, yes. So when we have bursitis, inflammation in the hip socket, I always like to try to be careful about having the legs in an asymmetrical position. So like one leg forward and one leg back, mainly something like that, because it puts strain on both hips, depending, like when the left one's forward, maybe you have pain in the left hip, and then when the right one's forward, you may be causing some pain in the right hip. So I would say symmetrical postures where you're equally distributing your weight on both feet would be more beneficial. Yeah, and let me see what else. I just talked with someone 1 or 2 days ago who also had bursitis. I'm trying to remember what I figured out and told them. Yeah, I would say generally trying to stand equally on both feet. Lying down positions, for the most part, will be fine. Sitting positions, you just want to make sure that you're comfortable. Yeah, and then also for bursitis, just like I was talking about with back pain, for back pain, for issues going on in the spine, I talked about strengthening the muscles in the back. If you have an issue in your hip joint, then we want to make sure that we're strengthening all the muscles that support the hip. Like, for example, your thigh muscles, the hamstring in the back, and the quads in the front. You want to make sure that your glutes are strong, your psoas muscle, which is in the front of the hip, and probably even up into your low back. So strengthening in all of those regions will be helpful to support your hip better so that there's not so much strain on the joint itself. Yeah. Yeah, so Gwen, if you are doing a yoga practice that includes lunges, what you could do is either don't lunge, just keep your feet in a like symmetrical or neutral kind of position. Or if you're comfortable with a little bit of lunging, just make a small lunge. Like if it's warrior, don't step too long. Don't step too long. Have a little bit of a shorter stance and a little bit wider. And you can do like a small lunge in that way. And if you're doing a smaller lunge, one important thing to note is that you're going to need to bend your front knee less. It'll be much, much less, so that the knee is just going over your ankle, but not beyond your ankle, because then we can cause strain again in actually the knee joint and the hip joint. So just a small bend of the front knee. Okay, good. And was asking about the hamstrings. Okay, good. I'm glad that was helpful for you. Okay, cool. Yeah, I look forward to your email, Chris. April's here. Hi, April. How are you doing? Is school finished yet? Maybe. I think you told me you were planning to finish like before the end of the semester. Okay, good. I think that's all the current questions that y'all have asked about pain. But if you have any more, please go ahead and post them there. And it doesn't even have to be physical pain. If you're having some more subtle type of pain, you can ask me about that, and I'll tell you how we address it from a yoga perspective. Okay, let me grab some water again. Okay, good. It's good to practice ahimsa all day long. Okay, so let me see. The last thing that I wanted to tell you all about is, aside from my YouTube videos, I wanted to make sure that you all know what other kind of things I do, what other kind of yoga I have available in case it's something that is beneficial for you. So, obviously my YouTube channel is here. There's tons of videos that you can practice, and I add a new video almost every week on all different kind of topics. And by the way, I take requests. So if you want me to make a video about something specific, write it in a comment or send me an email and let me know, and I'll add it to my list of videos to make. After that, after my general public YouTube channel, I have my Patreon group, which I told you all about a little earlier. And for my Patreon yoga students, what I do is I create a monthly practice calendar, and every day on the calendar links to a specific YouTube video, and it's all quite strategic. I plan it out very purposefully so that it makes sense and you can kind of figure some things out and progress in your practice from the start to the end of the month. So if you're interested in like a little bit more accountability or having a more structured plan about how to do your yoga practice, joining my Patreon group might be a good choice for you. And I'll put the link in the description box here after this video is done. And actually, one other thing that I wanted to mention about this monthly practice calendar is that it takes a lot of the guesswork out. And I know a lot of people who are in that group like the calendar for that reason. They don't have to go search for a video on the channel. They just open my calendar, click the link, and the video pops up. And so it's really, it kind of saves time. It's an easier way to figure out what to do in your yoga practice. And then also in the Patreon community, obviously I can have closer communication with them and get to know them better. So if you're interested in, being able to ask me questions on a more regular basis, that might be a good choice for you. And another thing I do is I teach Zoom classes every week. I teach 3 classes per week. Right now I teach on Monday. Moderate is my Monday class. And then on Wednesdays, I teach moderate early. It's at 9 o'clock Central. And then I teach yoga for bigger bodies at 10:30. And so if you're interested in, again, deepening your practice, these are hour-long classes, and just kind of, having closer communication and being able to ask questions and make requests and things like that, joining my Zoom classes might be a good choice. And I forgot to mention, this is very important, that yes, I teach those 3 classes per week, but I own a yoga studio, so I have a whole staff of teachers and all of them teach. So we have classes every day of the week, and the classes are, live via Zoom, but also we send the recordings out to everybody who registers. So if you're someone who would be interested in longer yoga practices, joining us, for our Zoom classes might be a good choice for you. And the way we do it, like people who join our membership, is we keep a Dropbox folder with all of the practices, all of the videos from the prior 30 days. So you have a ton of stuff to choose from in terms of, a different intensity of yoga practice, different teachers, different styles, all kinds of things. And everyone on my staff teaches in, the same philosophy as me as far as making the practice work for people with all kinds of bodies. But of course, all of us are different people, and so our styles are a little bit different. Some are more challenging, some are gentler. Anyway, you can go check that out. I'll put the link to that in the description box as well, in case you'd like to join us for Zoom classes. And then I alluded to this a little bit earlier, but one other thing that I do is I do work with people one-on-one for yoga therapy. And right now I don't have a whole lot of time available in my calendar, but if you're a person who has multiple health issues, or you feel like you're going to have a really hard time getting started with your yoga practice and you want one-on-one guidance, I do that, and I'd be happy to work with you on that. When I work with people one-on-one, they tend to see improvements much more quickly because the yoga practice is very customized for them. So if you're interested in working with me one-on-one, you can also email me and I'll send you some information about that. Let me now come back over to the chat and see if y'all have any more questions about anything related to pain. April says, one more day of school. That's exciting. Cool. Very good. Aurora is here. Oh, hi. Good. You're from Austin. I mentioned earlier, and you may not have been here when I talked about it, but I'm currently in Arizona. We're on kind of an extended road trip with my family in our camper. I'm in the back part of my camper right now, but I will make it back to Round Rock at some point. All right, Amy says the monthly practice calendar is amazing. Great, I'm glad you're enjoying it. Oh yes, you're welcome. Yeah, I really like putting together that calendar. And I forgot to mention that one more thing I do with the patrons, the people in my Patreon group, is that I create additional videos for them. So at least once per month, I make a new video that tends to be, here's a tricky word, a more advanced level video. And by advanced, I mean more subtle, working on details of things. When I say advanced, I'm not talking about physically challenging, although sometimes the videos are more physically challenging, but basically, because I know that the people in that group are practicing quite regularly and getting to know their body better and just like improving their self-awareness, I know that they're ready for the next level of instruction. So, that's one more thing that I do with the Patreon group. So that may be another thing that might motivate you to join in the Patreon group if you're interested in starting to dive deeper into the yoga practice. Okay, good. Alice is here. How do I hold Your your abdomen. Oh, okay. This is a great question. When we have a hernia, okay, let me turn my brain on for that topic. Um, when we have a hernia, we have to keep in mind some special things. We don't want to, obviously, we don't want to make the hernia worse. So there's certain kind of yoga postures that should be avoided. Anything that presses the abdomen outward or puts outward pressure on the abdomen should be avoided. Let me see if I can think of an example right here. I'm kind of putting myself on the spot. Okay. For example, if we're working on abdominal strengthening, like here's like a very clear example. You maybe would have seen in a video where I do a sequence where we're lying on the floor on our backs, the knees are bent, and we do inhale and bring the arms back. Exhale, knees come up while the arms come down. Inhale, feet rest down while the arms go back, and exhale, arms come down. This is an example of a sequence that would not be appropriate for a person who has a hernia. You should just skip it. You can work on your abdominal strengthening in a different way. And so throughout the yoga practice, please pay attention and notice, does it feel like I'm putting outward pressure on my abdomen now? If I am, then I should skip this posture and do something else. If you would like more customized guidance on this, Alice, I would be happy to chat with you. Please send me an email and I'll once I kind of get my brain turned on for that, I can give you more detailed information. But your question actually was about how do you hold your abdominal muscles in? Gently. I would say gently. Yeah, let me get back to you with more information. Please send me a note and then we can have an offline discussion to get into more detail about hernia, because it's very subtle and unique to the type of hernia. And it's not something that I work on very frequently. So I need to just go back and think about it for a minute and then I can give you a better answer. Okay, good. And then Monica says, thank you for yoga for us bigger people. You're most welcome. I'm new to your channel, just getting started. A request. Okay, let me write it down. Short 5 to 10 minute sequence we can do to release neck and shoulder tension. Okay. Writing it down. I'll add it to my list. I do have, I think, 2 videos about neck and shoulder tension, but I do believe they're longer. Yeah, I wonder, can you go in like some part of my channel and search? You might just search for neck and see if either of those is the right length for you. I'll go check too, and then I'll make a new video if I need to. I can do a 5 to 10 minute video very quickly. All right, good, great request, thank you. And Katie's here. Hi, Katie. Would a downward dog or plank be good to? Yes, both of those are good to strengthen the abs, but we want to make sure that we're going at the right pace. So if you want to strengthen your abs, like say you're just kind of starting, I know you're not starting from scratch, Katie, but I'm just giving this as an example. If you're starting from scratch, you haven't worked on strengthening in a long time, and you have a goal of working on strengthening your abs, I would not recommend going directly to a full plank. What I mean is, balancing on your toes and the palms of your hands and trying to hold your body in a straight line, because that is too challenging. We need to start, at a different level that's more accessible and gentler and is not going to cause harm. So you might start by working on plank on your knees. So instead of keeping the toes down, keep your knees down. You could also do a plank on your forearms if you have wrist issues. So on the forearms and on the knees is what I mean. You could do a plank at the wall. So walk your feet a little bit away from the wall and, place your hands on the wall about this wide apart. And you can work on your plank by straightening your elbows. These are all gentler ways to start working on abdominal strength. And then downward facing dog is also beneficial for abdominal strength, but there are a lot of factors that would distract from core strengthening and downward facing dog. So I would say that some kind of a plank would be beneficial. Boat pose is also beneficial. Sitting on the floor is more challenging. A gentler version is starting by sitting on a chair. And then generally throughout the whole yoga practice, you can work on your abdominal strengthening just by engaging your abdominal muscles. Let me stop here. See what's happened? I'm just going on and on. And it's totally fine. These live streams always end up longer than I think they're going to be. Where was I? Abdominal strengthening, engage. Oh yeah, I remember. Oftentimes people tell me, and especially women who have had children, very often tell me that they can't feel their abs, or they don't know if they're engaging their abs. This is a real thing. I have experienced it too. We have to strengthen the communication between the brain and the abdominal muscles. So what can you do? You got to just keep trying. So keep, having the intention of engaging your abdominal muscles, and that connection will start to happen, and you'll be able to work with the muscle better. One interesting tip that I learned from my physical therapist, who I hold in very high regard, she told me that when you say I'm trying to make my bicep work, that if you strengthen it or have the intention of strengthening it while tapping it, this sensation of tapping it helps the brain recognize it better. So you might just stand and work on engaging your abs and tap the muscles that you're having trouble accessing. And that should, it won't immediately be successful, but with a little bit of practice, that will help strengthen that connection so that you can start to work on those muscles more effectively. Okay, good. And more questions coming in now. Okay, totally Dream. Hello. I have a slipped disc in my neck and back, so laying down is difficult. Feels like a bulge is poking through. So I would suggest here, what's important here is what is the location of these discs and in which direction are they slipping. So if you have some, you probably have had some imaging work done before, like an MRI or something like that, and your doctor or physical therapist can give you some good ideas about which direction of movement is appropriate for you. For example, if you have, in your neck, slipping happening in a certain direction, it may be that you should avoid a certain type of movement. Maybe you need to avoid back, maybe you need to avoid front, or maybe tilting to one side, or maybe twisting. So I would ask your doctor, because they will have seen the imaging and they'll know what's appropriate for you. And then once you know, let me know, and I can help guide you in terms of what kind of yoga practice is appropriate for you, or what kind of postures and movements are appropriate. Yeah, and definitely anything that feels uncomfortable or painful, you should avoid, just to be safe. Yeah. Practice ahimsa when you have like these more serious kind of things, like actual diagnosed things going on in your body. Practice kindness with your body and just skip the things that are not comfortable or that cause pain. Okay, good. Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, we have Adria on my team, who is a teacher, but she also helps with a lot of other stuff. She had a bulge in her cervical spine. I know she won't mind me telling you about this. And typically, in the yoga practice, we do a lot of down movement, like bringing the chin toward her chest. But her physical therapist, she worked with her physical therapist, and they determined that the correct movement for her was actually back. And doing this movement toward the back helped to heal that bulge, like bring it back in so that it wasn't troublesome anymore. So it's very specific to the individual person and your specific injury or issue that you have going on. Okay. I am new, but I like your channel. And thank you for doing this. You're welcome. Welcome, Lisa. Nice to meet you. Monica says, thinking of something to do at work. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I do also have a short video of yoga for people who work from home, but it's actually for anybody who works at a desk. So please also, if you can, search on the channel for that video. And that one definitely works on the neck and the shoulders. Okay. If you have trouble finding it, email me and I'll send you the link. Okay, and Lisa says, Bigger Bodies videos are great for beginners. Yes, the daily Bigger Bodies short videos are helpful and informative. That's great. I'm glad you're enjoying them, Lisa. I had a lot of fun making them. And thank you for reminding me. I recently did a video which was beginner yoga for bigger bodies, and so that certainly is a good way to start. And I did that one with Denise, who many of you all are big fans of. And I also have, I'm trying to think how you access it. I'll put the link to this in my in the description box after the video, but I also did a live stream at one point about it's a 7-day beginner yoga challenge, and it's, you know, very beginner level, starting from the beginning, from the basics. And that's another great way to get started with your yoga practice if you're relatively new to yoga. You can find that, I think, as a playlist, but I also have it organized into, you know, just a clickable calendar. And so I'll put the link to that in the description box for you. Okay, I think that's about it, everybody. I think I've gotten through all the questions. We've chatted about all kinds of things. Anything else? Any last minute thoughts? All right, I think that's all for today. You know, all of you, if you have any questions about anything, please feel free to email me. I've mentioned my email address, but I'll mention it one more time. It's info@rryogaroom.com. If you have any specific questions, or if you need some specific guidance about your yoga practice, send me a note and I'd be happy to get back with you as soon as I can. It might take me a few days, but I will get back with you. All right. I think that's all for today. Everybody have a very nice day. Oh, I got a question from Katie. Looking forward to the May calendar. Anything new coming? Yeah, I need to work on the May practice calendar and get that out to all the patrons. And my theme for May, you know, I've been doing these short videos about yoga for bigger bodies. In May, I'm going to do videos about back pain. So please stay tuned for those. I think I'm going to do about one video every other day. So stay tuned for that. And I'll get into more specific details about the back pain. All right, good. You're welcome. And good. Yeah, I'm glad. I'm happy to hear it. I'm so, I'll just take another minute here. I'm so, it just makes my day when I read the comments that come in from people all over the place talking about how they've been doing yoga practice for a week or 2 weeks or 3 months or whatever it is, and how, you know, these issues that they had going on in their body or in their life are resolved or becoming resolved since they started practicing yoga. That it keeps me going. It really motivates me a lot to keep making content and keep understanding exactly what kind of content you need. Like, you know, for example, I can't remember who asked me a minute ago about the video for the neck and the shoulders, a short one. Great, yes, I would be happy to make this because you need that in your life. And, you know, and I'm happy to help and happy to hear y'all's feedback about how you're feeling better and doing better. So I think that's it. Thank you, Lisa, for doing a super chat. I appreciate that. And Katie is, oh, show. Don't forget, thank you, Katie, for reminding me to ask everyone to please like this live stream and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. When you subscribe and you click the notification bell, then when I upload a new video, you get a notification that says, hey, there's a new video available, and you can just click on it and go to it. So that's the benefit of that. All right, I think that's all for today. Have a good one, and I will see y'all probably next week on Friday for another live stream. All right, see you later. Bye.